trying to have a different facade or anything. If people that don't have a business are doing some things that's pretty much ridiculous, saying some things ridiculous, doing things ridiculous, they can do that because they have nothing to lose, right? They don't have anything to lose about talking about, their big toe, right? They don't have anything to lose about talking about their big toe. But you don't do anything with toes, right? You don't do nothing with socks, shoes, stockings, tight. You don't do anything with that, right? You don't do lotions, foot lotions, nothing. So you don't have that same luxury just to sit around and just talk about toes all day, right? You have to talk about and have something represent your business every time you put something out regarding your business, because people have confidence or more confidence in you when you are consistent with your branding activities. And so branding is what you have, right? And you're doing a bunch of things, and you are even making the brand look bigger and better, because everything you do, you're doing something to the brand. Now, if you keep being inconsistent, then what you're doing to the brand is that you're turning people off from the brand. And you don't want to turn people off from the brand, because you turn people off from the brand, you turn people off from your business. You turning people off from your business means you turning people off from getting paid for what your business has for sale. So now you're not earning any money, because you turn people off from your business, and now it won't be long before your business won't be a business. Now, this is only applicable, again, if you live off your business, right? This is only applicable if you plan on being in business a long time. So you want to look at your business, you have to be able to think now and in the future with your business. And if you do that, you have to also think now and in the future with your branding. When I coach people on it, and when I teach on it and share on it, I always share with people, think about if you were going to do this business that you do for the next 10 years, right? Just say, for instance, that's what you were going to do. Say, for instance, you signed a contract to do this business for 10 years. Here is the question I would ask you. Is what you're doing regarding your branding activities or branding in general, would you do that for the next 10 years? And many times when I coach people or speak with people about it, they say, no, I wouldn't be doing that part for the next 10 years. Well, if it's not good to do for 10 years, why is it good to do for 10 days? And the reason why they say they wouldn't be doing it for 10 years, because they said, well, it wouldn't really generate me any money. It wouldn't make me look good. Oh, okay. So it wouldn't make you look good for 10 years, but you're going to do it for the next 10 weeks. So what do you think happened in 10 weeks? You're not going to look good because you're doing something that won't help you look good, right? So you want to do something when it comes to your brand. Again, you want to be consistent with your brand. So that's what people have more confidence in your business. And the more confidence people have in their business, it's almost like the economy. When they said consumer confidence is high, you know what they're saying? People have so much confidence, they're going to spend money. If they say consumer confidence is low, that means people have no confidence in it. They're not going to spend any money. Well, that's how your brand is. When people have confidence in your brand, they spend more money with your business, right? Meaning that they have more confidence in your business because they have more confidence in your brand, because you're consistent with your branding. You are consistent and it's easy to stay consistent because you know the mission of the business. You know why your business is in business. Now, that goes back to something I referred to last session, that when you are in business, a lot of people will refer you business if you're consistent with your business. A lot of times we disappoint people because we're not consistent in our business. We're not consistent at what we do. So what ends up happening is that people have less confidence in us. And since they have less confidence in us, they don't refer other people to us. And we thought, man, I wonder why people won't refer. Now, we get confused when we get on platforms, right? And it's good to be on platforms, but keep in mind, the majority of the platforms you get on, you are 100% in control of the narrative. I mean, that is so powerful to me, because I've been in business a long time, and it was a time you really didn't have 100% control over the narrative anytime you want. Anytime you can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and have control over your narrative on a Sunday. You can wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday and have control over your narrative. You can wake up at Friday. You can be walking around, think of something at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday and have control over your narrative. I mean, that is really very powerful, meaning that you can put out your story and enhance your brand anytime you want to, any day of the week, any week of the month, any month of the year. It doesn't matter what's going on. You can do something to enhance your brand all the time. That is powerful to me. So that's one reason why I like branding. However, you got to be consistent, know what you're doing, because it's a business skill. Branding is a business skill, just like everything else. And if you don't have the skill to brand, you probably won't do it well, and that's probably it's a good thing you're looking at me. And I'm not the only guy to talk about branding. And obviously, you talked about people with branding. People got different ideas with branding. But one thing you want to do, again, we want to say we want to build to last, right? So we have to understand, in order to build to last, we need to understand the difference between expediency. When you want to be expedient with your activity, right? And a lot of times people look at expediency, anything that comes along quickly, they want to be a part of it, right? And since they want to, come along quickly, oh, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that, because they don't understand this difference between expediency and longevity. Because see, this branding is the long game. You playing long balls, as they call it, right? You're gonna do this for a little while because of the fact that you're looking at longevity. And if you don't have any longevity, then what happens is, if you're not thinking in longevity, then you're not thinking the long game off, right? Because brands are built. You build brands. You build them from the ground up. Now, how high do you want to build your brand? Do you want to build it 1 story, 5 stories, 10 stories, 100 stories? Well, you can't build 100 stories, so to speak, overnight. It takes a while to build a building high. It takes a while to build a building wide. It takes a while to do that. Well, that means you're looking at the long game, right? You're looking at 5 to 10 years out. Now, some people say, whoa, I don't have 5 or 10 years. Listen, are you planning on being in your business for the next 5 or 10 years? If the answer is no, then you need to get in the business that you plan on being in a while, because you need to understand there's a difference between longevity and expediency. It's not about doing things quick and everything. Now, expediency got its place. However, when it comes to branding, you need to look at longevity. I want to be here for a while. How long want to be here? How long do you want to be in the grocery store business? How long do you want to be in the restaurant business? How long do you want to be in the insurance business, or the newspaper business, the magazine business, the book business? How long do you want to be in those businesses? The pet store business. Well, I think I'm just gonna be here in a week and I'm gonna see what happens. See, well, you got an attitude like that. I'm telling you, anything that come along, you gonna think you're gonna jump in. So this is what happens. When you have this expediency type of mentality, when it comes to business or come to branding, what usually happens to a lot of people is that they get caught up in fads, right? And whatever the fad is at the time, they get caught up in the fad. And FAD as in dollar, right? So they get caught up in that fad, right? But what ends up happening, every fad will always fade. Every fad will fade. So if a fad fade and you caught up in the fad, it won't be long before you fade away with the fad. Now, when you say fade, if you ever had some clothes or anything and you had them for a long time, washed them a bunch of times, that red shirt don't usually look like red anymore, right? Like, man, that's like an off red, right? So to speak, because now the color has faded, right? It's faded away. It's not as crisp as it was. It doesn't look as good as it did, right? Because it faded away. That's what happened when you fall into fads when you do business. You will fade away right along with that fad that you got yourself involved with. Because branding your business is not being in a fad, it's actually building a brand. And those are two different things, right? Another thing that happens to us when we looking at this expediency and things like that is that we're falling to trends, which is similar to fads. You say, "Oh, this is the new trend. This is the new trend." So we jump into whatever the new trend is because expediency is what we do, right? Because longevity won't have you following trends. But here's something you have to realize: even though it may be a trend going on, all trends will end. And if you just following the trend, your business is going to end just like that trend did, because you are following the trend. So branding goes beyond fads. Branding goes beyond trends. Branding is longevity. I call branding your business. If you look at the long game and look at the long road, it's like being an antique, right? Anytime you use the word antique, some people call it old. Some people might say, "Oh, that's pretty good." But here's the thing about an antique. Let's say if you had an antique chair, antique table, antique car, whatever. Now, the antique is old, and there's some new stuff that has come out since the antique has been here. But one thing about an antique, for one, an antique, I don't care what it is more valuable today than it was when it first came out 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. That antique chair, you said, "Oh, great-great-grandma had this antique chair 75 years ago." Now, great-great-grandma spent $1 for that chair. And then you take that chair to get it appraised, and they tell you, "Man, this chair worth $20,000. $20,000 for a chair? Like what? What happened? What happened? Right? But because it's an antique, they don't make them anymore. Right? In business, you want the same type of mentality. Is that you want to actually end up being an antique, not old and antiquated, but that you are more valuable as you go along because they don't make businesses like yours anymore. Not they don't make your product anymore. They don't make a business like yours anymore. So they don't make a business like yours anymore because you're antique. This is how we have some companies. If you're familiar with the stock market and things of that nature, or not, you don't even have to be familiar with the stock market. You just be a person that's living around on the planet, right? And some companies have been a company for 30 years, 50 years, 70 years, 100 years. Now, wait a minute. How in the world do you, how in the world can you stay a company for 50, 60, 70 years? You are an antique in the business community. Again, it doesn't mean that you're a relic. It means that you're old and not, you're not applicable or not good for the marketplace. What it means is that you have been here a while. You have lasted a while. And the reason why that means you have outlasted trends. Because if you look at any 20-year period, trust me, I know it's about 3 or 4 trends in any 20-year period. I mean, so could you imagine if you've been in business 40, 50 years? That means that you have been through about 10, 15 different trends and 25 different fads and everything, right? Meaning that all those fads and those fads that were out faded because that company been here 50 years. All those trends that was out have faded because they've been here 50 years. And when you think of those things, right, you put yourself together and you think of those things, you want to have your business in a position where it can outlast those fads and those fads and those trends. That's what happened when you look at your business and look at the long game with your business, that I am going to be here a while. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean the location. You may change location, get a larger location. You may change cities and all these different things, change locations, counties, states, or whatever, right? But that's how you start looking at your branding, that you playing the long game. Now, in playing the long game and looking at that, now you start trying to say, how do I break into a market? Because your business need to be in the marketplace. That's where you want your business, meaning that your business belongs in the marketplace. Every business out there belongs in the marketplace. Now, you may not like all the businesses out there, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't belong in the marketplace because someone does. You may say, man, I don't like that person, their mission statement that they have for their business. And you cannot like it, right? You cannot think their business is actually a good business to be out there. But some people that like that business solves a problem for them. You said, well, it doesn't solve a problem for me, and I think it's a bad idea, bad business. Well, it may not solve a problem for you, and you may think it's a bad idea, but there's a whole lot of people that think that's a great idea, and that's a great business for them. So same thing with you. Now, you may say, a lot of times people say to me, well, why should I do certain things? Because, it's already people doing it. Well, what does that have to do with the marketplace? The marketplace got enough room for you and your business. A marketplace, you say, well, sometimes people come to me about writing books or something like that. They said, well, I don't really want to write a book because a whole lot of people write books. Well, a whole lot of people are doctors and lawyers and school teachers and all type of people, right? All type of professions. So what does that mean? You don't, do that because of that? I mean, a lot of people got a radio show. So am I supposed to say, oh man, a whole lot of people got a radio show, I shouldn't be here? No, my radio show fit into the whole radio scheme of radio shows. Maybe some show may be popular than mine. Somebody may do it better than I do, but that does not negate the fact that my show doesn't fit. Well, same thing with your business. It doesn't negate the fact that your business doesn't fit into the marketplace just because you don't have the biggest location, or you may not be more popular, or maybe you didn't start off with as much money. Your business is needed in the marketplace. You have to believe that. And that's why you need a mission, because your mission will prove that your business needs to be in the marketplace. Now, once you understand that your business needs to be in the marketplace, now we got to find out how to break into markets, right? And I gave this example last session. I kind of use it again here, that when I was in real estate, I came into real estate relatively young when I started. I know I still look young now, right? I still look 20-something, in my mind. But anyway, when I came in, I came in as a young man. So I didn't know a lot about business because I wasn't raised in a business household. My family wasn't in business, so I didn't have luxuries like that. I was raised like a lot of people, kind of go to work, get you some education, get you a good job and all those different things. So that's how I was raised. So me coming into business, I really didn't know anybody and how to actually do business I just had a desire to do business. Now, here's the problem. This is the problem I had because I didn't do well when I first came into business, because here's one problem I had. I only came into business because of money. I figured I can earn more money doing it that way than going over here working, doing things a different way, right? Not saying that's right or wrong, but see, I had no mission, so I had a whole lot of frustration. Because when you don't earn money right away, it don't take long before you get frustrated. Like, if I need 30, I got 30 days, I got to pay some more bills, right? And you earn money in 30 days, you like, man, maybe it's a bad idea, right? Maybe I need to get out of this. But when you have a mission will help you supersede those tough times when you don't earn, your all that money that you want to earn today or this week or this month, because you have a business mission, and that would supersede and keep you in the game or keep you in business and keep you showing up, because of the fact that you have a mission that you need to actually get out there among people, because your mission will help people. At least it should, right? Your mission, it shouldn't be a mission about my mission is to earn all the money I want to get. I want to make so much money, and my mission just about making money. No. You want to need a mission. Money follows the mission. Missions don't follow money. This is why you need to get a mission, because the money will follow the mission. Did I say you're going to turn into a millionaire the day after you get you a mission? No. This is what I do know. If you have a mission, you going to follow it, and money going to follow it too. And this is what's going to keep you in the game. So now, how do you break into a market? So when I started, like I said, in business, I was younger. So I needed to find a way to break into, once I got better, I should say, I had to break into markets, right? So really, I was dealing with people and customers on what I felt comfortable with dealing with people, right? Doesn't mean that they were bad or I was bad or good or whatever. I just wasn't that comfortable in business. So you kind of go into your area where you have some comfortability. Well, I was comfortable in this one area, and I had started having some success at doing things a certain way with this one area. So what ended up happening is that I took that same approach and took it to another area and started doing the same thing, because the areas are really similar. They just was one on this side and the other on this side of town, right? But the areas were similar. Now, here's what I'm saying similar, because I stated last session that your mission is how you leave a mark on the mentality of people so they can remember you, right? In a positive way. So a mark is the root word to the word market. So a market is a group of people that have something in common. Women 45 to 55, man, 30 to 40, people that have kids, 2 kids are young, under 10, people that's on a great approach, retirement. See, they have something in common. So once you find out what they have in common, that's your market, because your product or your services or your business fit a certain market, right? So when you find out what your market fit, now you may have several products that fit several different markets, right? But this is when you're not a brand, you can brand these things this way. So your market is how you leave your mark. Now you have this thing called marketing. So your marketing, right, has a root word called market, which is your common. So marketing is activity. Your common people, right, what they have in common, and this is how you leave your mark. And your mark is what? Your mission. See, so once you understand, mission is the mark that I leave on my market, and that's how I do my marketing. And that's who I do my marketing too. Now, when you understand those things, it's real simple. Once you kind of put this stuff in order, now you're going in, you're approaching your business in a different way. You're approaching your business in a way that may be advantageous for you and advantageous for the actual customers that you may have. Now, here's something for you. So how do you break into a market? First, you got to find the commonality, right? Meaning that who does your property fit the best? Doesn't mean that it doesn't fit anybody. No, who does it fit the best? Who does it fit the best, right? For instance, if you're selling insurance and you're selling, we just say car insurance, it's kind of hard to sell car insurance to people that don't have cars. That would not be your market, right? You trying to sell to a bunch of people that's 15 years old, they don't have cars, right? Now, selling car insurance to their moms and dads that's 35 years old with cars may make sense, right? You're trying to sell, I don't know, you're trying to sell, let me think of something. You're trying to sell, you're trying to sell, go to the dentist and get your teeth clean to a bunch of people that wear dentures, right? That's not your market, right? You have to actually find your market, right? And if you don't find your market, you'll find that you're doing a lot of activity and you're trying to brand in a place that your business does not fit. And the reason why you find that place that doesn't fit, because you don't know your mission. You don't know why your business is in business. And once you understand why your business is in business, you'll say, you know what? Now, just say, for instance, you are a person that sells dentures, right? Then your business is, I want to help people get the best dentures and everything like that, right? So now you're going to probably deal with people that might be a little bit older. Not saying people that's younger don't need dentures, but you might deal with someone that's a little bit older because your business, your product, your services fit, and your mission is to help them have the best fitting dentures they can have. Well, see, that's your mission. So if a person probably in good shape and had their teeth in pretty good shape, you trying to sell them dentures might not be a good idea because they have healthy teeth. They take care of their teeth, so they don't need you. They don't need dentures. But this other group over here that might be 75 years old, they might need a little help, right? They might lost a few teeth. So now here you come, and now your mission makes sense to them, and they remember that and have more confidence. And even if someone says, hey, you know what? I seen this person or I seen these people and they always talking about dentures, they'll start pointing people to you even if they don't need the product. They'll point people that need your help and tell them about you or your business or your services. See, this is what branding does to help people remember you. So breaking into a market, again, you need to know what you have in common. Now, this is how you reach out to the market, because you got to reach out to people. Now, I know your business is wonderful. I know your product is wonderful. I know your service is wonderful. And I definitely know you are wonderful. However, that still does not negate the fact that you have to reach out to people so that they can remember you. And just because you reach out to people, once you understand this, and I share this with a lot of people all the time, once you understand that there's a lot of people that want to buy your products and services from you, once you understand that, and I'm not just trying to make you feel good and just saying something positive to you, there's a lot of people that want to buy your products and services. They just don't have the money to buy your products and services right now. See, if you approach it that way, for one, you wouldn't try to bully people, right? You wouldn't try to brag about anything. You wouldn't try to beg for anything, and you wouldn't try to bluff anything, right? If you actually understood that there's a lot of people out there that see you, because I tell you, somebody's always watching you. Always watching you. They got the eye on you, both eyes. You know, they looking at you. They checking you out, right? And but right now they just don't have the money for your business right now, regardless of how little you think your product is, regardless of how you think everybody needs your product. People just maybe with that, because all products cost money, right? You can't be in business and not charge people money, right? Somebody got to pay for something. You can say, hey, I got this clothing store. We got the least expensive clothes on the planet, but they still cost money, even though they may be the least expensive clothes on the planet. You may say, I got this restaurant and all the food in my restaurant costs only $5. It still costs $5, right? So whatever you have, even though you may say it's very inexpensive, anybody can afford it. People have tight budgets, right? Whether the economy is good or the economy is bad, people have priorities in their life already. So you got to do it because you have priorities in your life already, right? Yeah, you may have another $1,000, but that $1,000 that you have might be for a mortgage or rent payment. Yeah, you can buy dinners or clothing or whatever, shoes from that company. But if you did all that, then you won't be able to pay your mortgage, right? So yeah, you may have $1,000. You don't have $1,000 for that. Well, that's how most people are. And once you understand that, you're going to keep your branding consistent and just know they want to buy something from me. It may take them 6 months. It may take them 2 years, 3 years, but you are in business to last a while. You're going to be here a while, right? We already said we're going to be here 5 or 10 years. We made that commitment to ourselves. So if a person's not ready for you today, it's okay. They may be ready for you next year, tomorrow, next month, 6 months from now. Trust me, they are finding ways to come up with the money to purchase some of the information that you have or some of the products or services that you have. Like the majority of the people that purchase from me have probably seen me in any case, because I've been in business a long time. They probably seen me anytime 2 years ago, a year ago. They say, I've been watching you for a while. Hey, man, I seen you do this, 3 years ago. Yeah, I seen you do that 8 years ago, man. I remember you when you was doing this 12 years ago. So not 12 years ago, they didn't purchase anything from me 12 years ago. I don't even know they were looking at me 12 years ago. They told me when they purchased from me that I seen you 12 years ago. See, I seen you 8 years ago. I seen you 4 years ago, right? So the same thing will happen for you because I'm building a business. I don't know who all is looking at me at the moment. I don't know that already. But this is why I had to try to stay true to my mission statements, and you're gonna have to do the same thing. And trust me, at the end of the day, it's gonna work out for you on your behalf. Now, yes, somebody else may have the same thing you have, and they may purchase some from someone else, and that's true. But a lot of times, these people come back to you, or people refer somebody to you and say, you know what, my uncle seen you 2 years ago. He told me that I need to contact you. Now, they might have just talked to their uncle today. It's, for instance, I teach people how to write books. That's one of the things I do, right? One of the businesses that I have, right? And many people will come back to me later and say, my uncle, aunt, mother, father, sister, brother, whatever, they've known you for 3-4 years, right? Now I didn't help them write a book. But then when the person said, I want to write a book, they said, my uncle, aunt told me to call you because I told them that I wanted to write a book. So now, because my brand was consistent, I had an uncle, aunt that never used my services, right? Never wrote a book themselves, but they knew me and met me 3, 4, 5 years ago and watched me for 3 or 4, 5 years. And here come their niece or their daughter, their son, or their father, or whoever, come up to them and say, I think I'm gonna write a book. They said, man, you need to contact this guy, right? Same thing used to happen for me in real estate. Hey, man, I want to buy, my aunt said that I need to contact you so I can buy a house. Now, keep in mind, I didn't sell the aunt a house. The aunt already had a house before I met her. But the aunt seen me and watched me, and I didn't know she was watching me. This is why it's imperative how you operate and act when you put your business out on any of these platforms. Because I'm telling you, it would do you a lot of good if you're consistent with your branding and all the activities you have that's connected with your branding. If you're not consistent, and if one day you talking about you can't stand men, you can't stand women, and you ought to hit somebody in the head and everything. Oh, hey, you want to buy a car from me? And then you come back the next day. Hey, you know what? Everybody that's 6 feet tall make me sick. Everybody that's under 6 feet, they make me sick. They need to kick them in the leg. Oh, hey, you want to buy some insurance from me? That's inconsistent because they might have been one of those people that you said you could not stand, right? That they might say, hey, I'm the guy that's 6'2" and you said all people that's over 6 feet are stupid, right? But now you want me to buy insurance? Now you want me to come to your store? Now you want me to come to your restaurant? Now you want me to do all this stuff, donate to your charity after you just said all that about me? No. Because somebody is always watching you because your brand is being built all the time. So you can build a brand or break into a market in two type of ways, pretty much, right? One is location, right? You have a location. So for instance, if you have your city, right, your regular location, you might say, hey, I'm on the south side. I want to break into, do some business on the west side, or I'm I'm in this part of the state, the northern part of the state. I want to go into the eastern part of the state, right? So you can make a location. So and then you can say it can be a region. I'm in this state. Then maybe I want to get into this next state over from me, right? So that's one way. So it can be a region. So this is how, for now the internet was out at this time. I'm gonna show you how I still didn't do well with it, even though it was out. For the first 10 years in one of my businesses, I was strictly local, right? And so I wanted to try my hand to get out of my locale, right? And said, okay, you know what? I think I can get bigger now. Keep in mind, 10 years pretty much, I'm pretty much in my local area, right? So now I said, I want to see, can I extend myself to another place? So I wanted to go to another state. Now I'm in the northern part of the country. So I said, well, I'm going to see, can I do some things in the southern part of the country, right? So then I picked a city that was natural. Now, the same way I'm telling you, this is how I did it, right? Same way I did in my other businesses. I found the commonality, right? The commonalities in that place, and did the same thing I did in the other place and branded myself there and did my business there. So then, I said, oh, wow, that's good. So then I said, every state that I live in touch, I want to start breaking into the markets in those states as well. So, the state that I touch is, 6 other states that touch the state that I live in, right? And pretty much any state is pretty much like that. You got 4 or 5 states that touch your state, right? So I said, I'm going to break into those markets. So now here's how I did that. Not only did I want to go into different locations, I also wanted to I understood industries, right? So I wanted to break into different industries as well. So when I had the industries that my product and my services fit into, then I actually said, I'm gonna go into those states or that region in those industries, right? So I took those industries, and because I knew those industries, right? Because I actually had branded in those industries in the place where I lived. So since I branded in those industries in the place that I live, then I had this reasoning that I'm going to go into another state and go into the same industries because I knew the commonality. In other words, I knew that market. So I knew the marketing activities I need to do for that market to leave my mark, which was my mission. This is how you can break into anything that you want to do. So a lot of times people say, and I use books for just this example. Hey, I'm an international bookseller, right? And the truth of the matter is, if you sell a book, and I sold books out the country, right? Somebody purchased your book and they're in another country. Technically speaking, you are international, right? But in my world, when you branding means you built relationships in a place. Now, I've sold books in other parts of the world, but I'm not really building any relationships in those places, right? Nothing against those places, but the way that I was able to stand across the United States is I started building business relationships with people in other states. So now my branding is that I had a spot in those spaces. I had a spot in those 30 plus states because I branded in those 30 plus states, right? Because I built relationships in those 30 plus states. So I can actually go to different states or talk to people in different states that have my services because I knew their industries and I did my marketing in what was common in those industries, that market. And then I left my mark, which was my mission. And that's how I stepped into every locale that I stepped into. And that's how I stepped into more than 30 different industries at the same time. So now it took me, I didn't do that overnight. Now I told you the first 10 years, I was only in my state. That's the only place I was really doing anything. Again, I had some other stuff going on, but it wasn't that significant. However, within the next 5 years, I was in one state, and within the next 5 years, I went from 1 to 29, plus the District of Columbia. Now, I did that in 5 years. For the next 2 years after that, I was in 6 more states, right? And I did the same routine in every spot. The same thing. I did the same routine because the mission that I had was for those businesses that I had. I was leaving my mark and I was finding my market. I did not try to go into markets I did not know. When I say markets, I knew what to expect. I knew what I had to offer because I knew my mission and I knew my products and I knew my services. Same thing happened for you. Now, you may not want to go across the United States. You might not want to go across, a different region. You might want to stay right in your locale. But you can go from one part of the city to another part of the city, one part of the county to another part of the county. That's how actually companies are built, and they go nationwide. That's how a company can start in California selling hamburgers, and next thing you know, they're all over the globe, right? The same thing can happen to you if that's what you desire. You may not want to go all over the globe. You may want to actually go all over the community. You may want to go all over the city. You may want to go all over the certain suburbs of the city or all the suburbs of the city. You may want to do some things differently. And the way that you do that is by reaching out, by breaking into a market. And one of the ways, obviously, is knowing the industries that your product or services fit in. See, it's nothing more like, just say, for instance, you were a person that helped teachers, right? You taught teachers how to, I don't know, we just say it's teaching things, right? And the way that you can get into, you teaching teachers in Minnesota, right? And now you said, well, I'm really good at this teacher stuff. I know what teachers think. I know how they what they're looking for, how they want to run their classrooms. Then you can actually say, I'm going to Tennessee, right? And with all technology, you don't have to move now. You can just kind of like move into these things virtually with all this technology out, right? So now you're teaching teachers in Tennessee or selling them the same thing that you sold to people in Minnesota. And you say, you know what? I think I want to take it to Arizona. So now you're doing the same thing with teachers in Arizona that you're doing in Tennessee, that you're doing in Minnesota. Now you take it from, okay, I think I want to go to Washington. So now you're taking the same thing you went from Arizona to Washington, and then which is the same thing you did from Tennessee to Arizona, which is the same thing you did from Minnesota to Tennessee. Same things. This is how, if you get good at branding, a lot of times people come to me and say, man, I'm moving out of my state. I'm moving out of my region. And what happens is because they're not good at branding, they move to another location and don't do as well as the previous location, because they really, sometimes when you live in a place, you got friends and family and all that stuff. You've been there for 10, 15 years. You kind of take for granted that you think you really did something good, but you got all your friends and family there and everything. So you got a little more leeway. When you go to another place where nobody know your name, you're not popular. You can't say that everybody on this place know you or they know you. It's just you, a product, a service, and a skill set. That's all you have going on, right? Then it's a whole different story, a whole different flavor. And this is why branding is so important, because if you know how to brand, right, you know your mission statement, know how to leave your mark, know your market, and do your marketing towards that market to leave your mark, which is your mission statement, you would do just fine. And I know that you can do it, but you got to know how to brand. Otherwise, you get into another, you think it's the city fault. You know what? I'm leaving this city. It's too hot in this city. And, nothing here. I'm going somewhere else. And you would take your no skill self to the next place and have the same result you had in the last place. Or you can take your same skills, what the skills you have, and go to another place. Let's look at it like an athlete, for instance, right? You can take an athlete, he on one team or she on one team. She get traded or whatever, become a free agent and go to another team. We use basketball for this example. Now they were real good dribbling the basketball at one team. Then they go to another team. They don't have to I don't know how to dribble on basketball. Well, I don't know what to do. No, the same way they were good at dribbling the basketball on that one team, they can go to another team and dribble the basketball for that team. Why? Because they have a skill set. And even though they change from this league to that league, or this city to that city, this conference to that conference, that did not stop them from dribbling the basketball, because they had the skill set of knowing how to do it. Same things happen with you with branding. When you have the skill set and know how to do it, you can brand any place you want to when you know what you're doing. And this is why you have to know what your mission statement is, because you can leave your mission statement all over the city if you choose to. You can leave your mission statement throughout that industry if you want to. You can leave your mission statement in several different industries and several different cities or states all at the same time. But you got to know how to brand, right? You got to realize that you're here to last. Now, can you do that overnight? No, right? And this is why your brand has to be consistent. If you spend more time on being consistent with your brand, you don't have a whole lot of time at being frivolous with your brand. You don't have a whole lot of time damaging your brand if you're doing your part at building your brand. Because you're doing one of the two things. Either you're building a good business brand or you're damaging a potential big business brand. You're doing one of the two. And if you're doing anything that damage your business brand, I'm telling you, you're going to always need money in business. I know I always need money in business, right? And here's the reality. Business does not always go well all the time. Now, I know some people tell you oh, business is great every day. No, it isn't. Right? Some days are much better than others, right? Well, because you know how to brand and build a brand, because sometimes things happen in your life. Sometimes things can happen that you can get ill, right? Someone else you love can get ill. I mean, things in that nature. So your life change. You might have to take care of someone that's ill. You might have somebody have to take care of you because you ill. So these things may change in your life. Well, when they change in your life and then you come back into your, get back into the business, you can get back into it because you have the skill set. You didn't lose the skill set. It's like you're riding the bike. Once you know how to ride a bike, you know how to ride a bike again. Now, the first time you learn how to ride a bike, you might have fell down, hit your head, right? But once you get good at riding the bike, you might say, man, it's been 10 years since I rode a bike. You might start struggling a little and wiggling and wobbling and all that. But after a while, you'll be riding that bike just as good as you did 10, 20 years ago. Because of the fact that once you know how, you can always do it again and again and again. And the same thing it is with branding. Once you know how to brand and understand that it all starts with your mission statement, it all starts there. And then when you keep it there, you need to keep the mission statement in front of you, right? You need to keep it because if you notice, well, if you've watched some of the shows here on IntellectualRadio.com, and I'm just, again, not trying to, just talk about IntellectualRadio.com because, like we don't station, but we are the best one, right? But anyway, here's something for you. You'll notice a lot of hosts will always say, we're here to feed your brain, feed your brain. And one way it's easy to say that because it's right behind me on the wall. I see it when I walk in the studio. So feed your brain. It's easy for me to remember, right? Well, you got to do the same thing with your business and your mission statement too. You have to put it somewhere on your, on your logo. You might have to write it down. You might do some things so that you can see it all the time to keep you on track, to keep you focused on what you dare to do and what problems that you have that you're here to solve with your business. If you do that, then you're going to stay in business a long time. You're going to get a lot more referrals, and then you're going to get a lot more business, and you're going to realize that people are going to look up to you. Even other business people are going to look up to you and look to you because they're going to want to connect their business to your business. And that's the beauty of it, that you can have other brands connect to your brands. Because see, if your brand is negative, if your brand is inconsistent, and people are going to say, no, man, I don't want to be part of that. You talking about how you don't like women or how you don't like men and everybody's stupid but you and all this stuff. People are going to say, man, I don't want no part of that. Because see, if you give somebody that's negative, we see this happen all the time. We see this happen with athletes. We see it happen with people in politics. See the brand get bad and you do bad. People pull away from you, man. Like, they run away from you like a house on fire, right? Because they don't want to be associated with something negative. And if your brand is inconsistent and all these different things, people will run away from your brand because of the inconsistency. And they don't want to get burnt up because you burnt up, right? They're not interested in that. But if you keep your brand positive and productive, that you're trying to actually do something positive for people, solve problems in their life with the business that you have, more people gravitate to your brand and want to be a part of your brand to some extent because of the fact that they know that you have a positive brand and that your brand is there to help other people at the same time. And this will help you reach other markets that other people have, because I don't know everyone. But then when you connect with someone, they have 1,000 people or 5,000 people or 2,000 people, then you can connect with them because they're bringing their 2,000 people together with your 2,000 people, right? I don't care if it's 100 people. They're bringing 800 people together with your 100. That means that you have 100 more people because you have a positive brand and they have a positive brand, and people with positive brands do not mind connecting with people that have positive brands. And that's something that you realize as well. So let me do a recap before I close out here. So today we talked about how you had to build something to last, right? That, your whole thing, you want to think, 5-10 years out with your branding, right? You want to think long range. You want to be able to break into different marketplaces. And remember, we have to have a mission. The mission is how we leave our mark. The mark that we're leaving is on the market, commonality among people. And then the marketing that we do is to the market to leave our mark, which is the mission that we have, right? You want to come up with a mission statement. You want to make sure this mission statement is somewhere where you can see it. You can see it, whether you like to say you write it down on paper, you put it on behind something or put it on your mirror, whatever you do, you want to see this when you deal with your business, right? To help your business do better. This is how you break into other markets, break into other states, break into other cities, counties, regions, or whatever you want to do, or break into other industries. You're doing it the same way when you understand the brand that you have and what you're doing with the brand. So I said a whole lot in this session here. And obviously you can look at this as often as you like here at IntellectualRadio.com. So here, before I close out, let me just say, first of all, thank you for taking the time to look at me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you something else on branding here in part 3. And keep in mind that great business people aren't born great. Great business people are made great by having great business skills. And I'll see you next time.